So this afternoon we have a special guest in our session. Welcome everybody. The special guest is Francesca Cirulli from the National Institute of Health in Rome. She's a senior researcher at the National Institute of Health, and also she's part of the scientific committee of ECOS. And I am glad to give her the floor, and I will be back in a couple of minutes because I have a problem in Word with the patient. So Francesca will host the first part of the meeting. I have already started the record, and I will be back as soon as I can. Okay?
Perfect. Okay. Stefano, how many people are we expecting?
Yeah, for this reason, Gaia, please, can you make me co-host or Francesca co-host? So if
I'm co-host. I'm
okay.
host.
So if other people,
so I can let people in.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. We are 11 right now with Marta and you and myself.
Okay.
And of course, Gaia.
My colleague
Yes.
cannot attend this course today because he's in a National Coaching Association meeting somewhere in Bucharest, and he's on the way now. And I don't know if he will attend later, but now he's on the way. So for now, he's not on the.
Okay.
Okay.
So we only miss a Finnish coach. I don't know.
Okay.
And a British coach that never appeared, so probably doesn't exist. And yes, at this moment, we are only waiting for Julian and yes, and the Finnish coach.
Yeah, so Julian is not gonna enter now. Maybe later, but
okay. Yes, we understood. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, you can start, Francesca.
Maybe I can start, no?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not nice to let everybody wait. Okay, then I will start this presentation. What am I going to do today is to get you a little bit more into a practical view of what we really mean by getting sport into mental health. And what I would like to do is to share the experience that we have already had with Stefano also in a previous project, the Sphere project. This project has been very important for us because what we are doing now in this EASM project is really the follow-up of what we have already learned in the Sphere project. In that case, what we wanted to do was to derive guidelines to apply sport and physical activity in mental health. And what I would like to do today is to show you the slides of the final conference that we actually already, projected. And that will give you an overview of the different pilot actions that have been organized so that you can get a better feeling of what we really mean by, getting sport into the mental health sector and how many different ways there are to actually. So when we talk about sport and physical activity, we have a huge amount of things that we can do. And of course we can do, group sports, individual sport, we can do walking, we can do, very, very, very different things. And, but the ultimate, choice will depend, of course, on the subject, on the person that you have, that you will coach, and also on the specific objectives that you will have on that person. And this is really crucial. I think this was part of, I'm stealing part of Gaia's presentation. There is, of course, motivation is important with this, with everybody. And what I'm saying, it really applies to any person, not just someone that has, a mental disorder. So motivation is important, but the most important thing I think is to define goals that can be reached. So they should be achievable, so that you don't get frustrated from not achieving those goals. And also you should tackle into the specific motivation, the specific aims, the specific goals of that person, because that is the best. No, I'm sure that you know these things better than me. And of course, please interrupt me anytime you want, if you want to comment, or if you have, suggestions or other ideas or whatever. You want to share something, you can do that very friendly. I mean, very easily. It's okay. If you do, you see my screen? Do you see my screen? Yes. Okay. Good. So what I would like to do, well, this was the partnership of the Sphere project, and there was UK. Also, Everton in the community was in the Sphere project. There was EPSI, as in EASMH. There was Germany, there was Croatia, and Finland again, and again UK with Cardiff. I think this has been the first project I actually participated, where sport was trying to be, in fact, developed specific training was being developed for to be applied in mental health. And so what the idea at the beginning was to have pilot projects, which is very much what actually in the EASMH you should be thinking about to prepare your own project. So this is something that you will discuss in Brussels. So I'm preparing you for the Brussels basically conversation. So you should start getting more in your mind a specific project that you might have in mind, because this is something you've always wanted to do, but you never managed to, or maybe you can the inspiration can come from a specific person that you know, or a specific individual, a specific problem that you have encountered, and while you're probably doing this every day in your profession, what we are trying to build in these projects is a methodology that can be shared, can be reproducible, and which is based upon certain principles. And why is this? Because, and this is my background, because I'm a basic researcher, and I do, I'm involved in basic research. And when you do basic research and you do an experiment, you have to be able, you get a result, you have to be able to get that result again, another time, and again and again. And how do you do that? By having a methodology which can be reproduced, like in baking a cake. You have ingredients, you have a recipe, you have steps that you go through, and you always go through the same steps, because if you don't do that, then the cake doesn't cook. You won't have the cake. So I know I'm trying to be very basic, but I think it's very good that we go through simple examples to understand where we're going to. Do you have questions about this? Domande? No. Okay. So I would like to show you how these pilot projects that were developed in the Sphere in the Sphere project were very similar, at the same time very different from from one to the other. And okay, I will go on going to I want to go to the projects. Okay, so yes, the guidelines. Have you been told about the guidelines, the Sphere guidelines? Did the Gaia ever presented those to you? No.
I don't think so. No.
No. Okay, we will look at that afterwards. What I like to do is to sorry that I go. Okay, these are the Sphere guidelines. If you have not been exposed to them before, then I'm not sure. there is Lewis Garside. Maybe what we can do is to look at them further on. Can you see very well my screen? Is it clear? Is it yeah, okay, good.
Again, sorry.
Okay.
One thing, I'm sharing the link with the sphere guidelines in all languages.
Very good. Thank you.
You can read,
okay.
Everyone can read it in his or own language.
Okay. I think the sphere guidelines are very important because they are at the same time very simple, very basic, but I think that they can be a very good guide, you know, for whatever you're going to organize. And actually, you know what? Maybe I should. You share the link. Let's see if I can. Because okay. Okay. Where is the document actually? Because I would like to. Because it's in different languages, right?
Yes.
So I will open the
theoretical
English
framework.
version. I will open the English version.
Yeah,
okay, there it is.
The theoretical framework and then the short.
Okay, no, I just wanted to, oh, this is the training guidelines. No, I wanted, oh, but here we have them. Yes. Okay, there you go. Can you see them? Le vedete? Okay. So the guidelines are very simple, and I think this is really actually we should have talked about the guidelines before looking, you know, before actually getting to the different pilot actions, because the pilot actions were very important to derive the guidelines, and it was only based upon practical work that we ultimately arrived to these guidelines. And what do the guidelines do? They provide some very basic protocols, ideas of how to build your project. For example, the first guideline, already on this, we could spend a whole, I think, a whole hour. The program encourages holistic, clinical, psychological, and social improvement. Okay, and this is already by itself there are a lot of things in this sentence, because what we're saying is that the program should be holistic. So it should consider the person in its entirety. So as both in the physical sense, from its physical, physiological point of view, but also from its psychological and psychiatric point of view. So of course, we have certain abilities that derive from our being tall, short, fat, thin. But then we also have goals and aspirations. And so this is something that should all be considered in implementing whatever program we want to implement. And am I saying something that's too simple or too obvious? Can I have some feedback from you? I don't see the faces. Aspetta che devo allungo. Okay, for example, I would like to know from Alejandro. Alejandro, are you Spanish? Sei spagnolo?
Sì, anche from Argentina.
Ah, from Argentina. Oh, wow.
Ah,
okay.
Sì, habla español, sì, vengo da Argentina.
Alejandro.
So
my question to you is this something that for you it's obvious?
Sì.
Is something that you use in your profession?
Non capisco la domanda.
Non capisci la domanda. Te la faccio in italiano. Ok. Per te è chiaro che l'approccio deve essere olistico? So I'm asking him whether the approach should be holistic. Cioè, quello che voglio dire è vero che dobbiamo prendere in considerazione la persona da più punti di vista?
Assolutamente, penso in ogni caso.
Ok, ma tu parli italiano?
Parlo italiano, sì.
Ah,
e lavoro in Italia io, sì.
E lavori in Italia? Ah, ok. I will translate for them.
Il problema mio è l'inglese.
Ok, va bene. Allora, parliamo in italiano. I will translate what you say.
No. Ok.
Quindi Alejandro, tu mi stavi dicendo che effettivamente sei diciamo, come si dice, concordi, sei d'accordo?
Sì.
Ok. I will ask then Alexandru, you're from Romania?
Yes.
Okay, so what I asked Alejandro, and he agreed, is whether in fact you think that is it
The
true?
approach.
Yes, that the approach should be holistic.
Yes, yes, of course, because it must cover all the factors of the like physical, clinical, and I don't know. It must cover all the factors of the individual.
And do you think this is simple
No, it's
to
not
do
simple.
this?
I don't think it's simple. No.
Can you tell me one problem that you can face in your profession in trying to be holistic? Quale potrebbe essere il problema, sto dicendo? Quale problema potete trovarvi di fronte? Quale potrebbe essere il problema? Quali sono i problemi più grossi in questo, nel cercare di essere, cioè di seguire un programma che sia così? I can imagine one, for example, that you have a specific target, c'hai un programma in mente, and that person, you know, is just not the right person for that program. How do you do? How do you integrate what you have in your mind and what the person is capable of doing?
Il rischio secondo me è la rigidità del programma che non lascia spazio a che possano integrarsi tutte le persone.
Okay. So Alejandro is saying that the program should be flexible. And I agree. I think you also agree, no?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I will ask also Matteo Losito. Matteo, sei italiano anche tu?
Yes, I'm Italian.
Okay. Can we speak in English or you prefer in Italian?
We could try in English. We could try in English.
Try in English, I will translate for Alejandro. So,
a problem could be the variability of the mental illness we have in front of us, because a doc is quite different to a depression, for example.
Can you give us an example? Ci fai un esempio of a situation where you find yourself in a difficult position, where you could not really do what you wanted to do?
I work with autism.
Autism, okay. So that's very difficult. Adult or children?
Children, young boy.
Ok, va bene. Adolescenti?
Yes, in a football team. There are some behavior that we don't understand at the first time, and for this reason we have to observe many times before to understand the better way to teach some specific techniques, for example the kick, the ball transmission,
Allora, Matteo, you're saying something that's really very, very important. Matteo sta dicendo una cosa molto importante, e cioè che c'è bisogno di un'osservazione preliminare. So you need to observe, to have a preliminary knowledge on that person before you can even think about.
We have also a chart list where we write some specific behavior. For example, if the child is verbal or non-verbal,
of course,
and say understand our command.
Okay, Very good. So actually with what you are saying, con quello che sta dicendo Matteo, mi pagate doppio per questa cosa perché sto facendo il doppio, con doppia lingua.
Ma
Sto
se
scherzando.
Non ci vuole, Francesca.
Sto scherzando.
No, ma
in
in inglese capisco, io mi
in inglese capisci, va bene, ok,
quando devo
perfetto.
parlare. Se non capisco te lo chiedo.
Ok, perfetto. No, era una battuta, era per ridere. E quello che dicevo, però, what I was saying is what aspetta, Matteo just said leads us to the second guideline. The program is designed to develop and improve skills, facilitating cognitive stimulation through learning process. Quindi, once we know the problem, for example, verbal, non-verbal, and so on, what we can do is to try to improve that problem. Sometimes we cannot improve that. In autism, for example, sometimes it is just too difficult. I mean, the disability is just so heavy that it is very difficult to improve, right? There is really no possibility. But one thing that we have to aim to when we develop this type of programs is, and again, this is goal setting. We want to understand what would be, the first goal. And the first goal could be, in the case of the autistic child of Matteo, where first of all, I have to get him to a level where he can kick the ball. Is that correct, what I'm saying? Is this what you wanted to say, Matteo?
Yes.
Okay, quindi of course when you devise a program, you have to go step by step. So the first step in a football, I guess, program is that the guy or the girl has to kick the ball. Then we can even think about playing or doing something more difficult. So this is telling us that, of course, there has to be, and this is the guideline number 3, supervision by an instructor, a coach, you, who should provide technical guidance, but not only that, non solo technical guidance, motivation and support. Okay. Is this simple? Is this easy? Alejandro, is it simple to motivate? Is it easy to motivate people to do sport? How do you do? What do you do?
It's not easy, but is the all we have to do.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's fundamental.
Right. But can you give me any one of you, Alejandro, Alexandru, Matteo? I don't see any other face here. It's only the 3 of you. Okay. Can you give me
Sami?
Sami? But I don't see Sami. I don't. He's not showing his face.
Yeah, my camera is not working today.
Okay, va bene, Sami. You're there. That's good.
It's easy but not simple.
It's easy but not simple. So, Sami, can you give me an example of how you motivate someone that has very low motivation to do sport? What do you do?
I first of all try to figure out, like, I cannot motivate somebody if I don't know the reasons why he's not or she's not motivated. So I try to create trust first, and when I have great trust, after we have trust, then we can
trust. I like that.
Motivate the person, but without trust, motivating in long run is quite hard. Okay.
I like this. I like what you just said. So trust is fiducia. No, you have to, which means you have to build a relationship before. No, that's what you're saying, Sami.
Yes, good relationship where I can get to know that person well. Then I know why he is motivated or not motivated, and he trusts me what I'm saying when we build that relationship.
Very good, very good. And actually, this is already the 4th guideline. If you read the 4th guideline, the program should involve setting individualized goals for participants to support gradual improvement and development. And this is really, you know, what you were saying, Sami, team working, which involves building a relationship. So this is definitely another very important thing. And the guideline number 5, can you read them, or I should read them to you? Do you see the screen?
It's little.
It's very small. I know.
Yeah.
You're right.
You can read them through the link I shared in the chat, and you can download.
But I
in
can
your
maybe
languages.
make it a little larger. Okay, maybe this is better. Si vede meglio?
No, nothing changed.
No? Si vede malissimo?
No, it's small. We can see.
Ah, it's small. Because I see it big. Okay. Anyway, the fifth guideline, siamo alla quinta, is another very important aspect that I think you have in your work, and that is feedback, regular feedback. Okay, so once you build the trust with the person, you also have to give them the feedback, and this is something that otherwise you lose him or her. So feedback is also very important, positive feedback, of course, which is crucial. Then I would like to bring you to the sixth guideline, and that is the program promotes group activities. Now, not all sports are group sports. If you do soccer, of course, soccer is a group sport. Sami, what type of sport do you practice usually? Sami?
Yeah, football. I think football. Do you hear me?
Football. You too. Football.
Yeah.
What about also Alejandro?
My sport?
Yes.
Rugby.
Rugby. No, Alejandro. No. I was meaning Alessandro Oltean.
Alessandro.
Because I have Alessandro. Let's do Alejandro and Alessandro. So we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually practice them with basic gymnastics.
Gymnastic. Okay.
Yeah, and basketball, but basketball not as playing basketball, but individual skills basketball, like dribbling, passing, throwing on the hoops, but not actually playing basketball, because
I understand.
Yeah.
So these are more individual skills. I mean, basic skills that can be then used
and
to play.
Also at gymnastics, trampoline jumping.
Okay.
Yeah, but so we are working together, but one at a time. I mean, it's not.
And the other watch? The others watch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is a group activity.
Yes. I mean, and with examples, like you saw how she did, or you saw how he did. Okay, let's try to do this, and let's try to do this. I mean, it's an interactive practice. It's not individual one by one. Yeah.
Okay. Is any of you working on an individual level? No. So if I understand correctly, rugby, of course, it's clearly a group activity, and football, I mean, soccer is a group activity. So and the fact that you're using group activities instead of individual activities has to do with the fact that you work with people with disabilities or not? Who wants to answer? Chi risponde? Alejandro.
Io no.
No, la domanda è, I will repeat the question in Italian. La domanda è, il fatto che usate per la maggior parte sport che sono fatti, che vengono fatti in gruppo, in squadra, è legato al fatto che lavorate con persone con disabilità oppure, cioè, mi chiedo, è stata una scelta? Is it a choice to do group activities? Is it by chance? Is it because you work with people with disabilities? What brought you to choose that type of sport?
I don't work now with the people with disability.
Ah, you don't? Ok. But you did in the past? Ci hai lavorato?
Yeah, in qualche, diciamo, come si dice, occasione.
Ok.
Sì.
Ok.
Però...
E per Alejandro Oltean, is this a choice? It's a chance? It's by chance? How
No,
come
it's actually by the lack of time. I mean, I don't have time to work with like one by one.
Ah,
So,
okay.
Yeah, so now I'm coaching. I'm a volunteer coach for these kids.
Ah, okay.
And I just meet them 2 times a week, and we just make activities together. I mean,
So it is to maximize time, to maximize the number of people.
Because of the parents, because they don't have time to bring them, because of my schedule. So we just make some, I don't know, we meet Wednesday and Saturday at this hour, and we...
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
But this was, I mean, incidental, come si dice, non era fatto apposta. It was not on purpose, but at the end, it's actually probably much better than having done this individually. And because of all that we have just been saying, and also because you know that one main part of sport, one main let's say positive action that sport has is to bring people together, and social activity and social interactions are extremely important for for these people, especially for people with mental disorders, because mental disorders, they isolate you, they bring you to be isolated. And so one main aim sport activities, in addition to keeping fit and be good for you, is that they actually bring you together with people, with other people, and so you sort of get back into a social condition, which is extremely important for everybody, of course, for everybody, but especially for people with mental disorders. So this is why one of the guidelines was specifically aimed at saying that the program should promote group activities with an optimal group size. This is what we wrote. I don't know if you agree. With an optimal group size between 5 and 15 per instructor. Do you think this is a correct number? 5 and 15, between 5 and 15? Alejandro Oltean.
I work now with 10 up to, I mean, no, between 8 and 12 kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you are with it, but so you are in those range, in that range, no?
Yeah.
So that you would agree that that is feasible to work with a group size between 5 and 15.
Yeah, I think it's manageable. It's
okay.
Not,
okay. And Alejandro Villalon, do you think 5 and 15 is a good number? It's a good number? Ti sembra possibile, plausibile che il gruppo debba essere composto da un minimo di 5 e un massimo di 15 persone? Quando lavori tu, how many are you?
No,
in rugby?
Rugby is possible to train in 30 players.
Wow, 30?
30 players, sì. Già 15 contro 15 si gioca, quindi...
Ah, perché se gioca 15 contro 15, scusa la mia ignoranza, io non lo so.
No, the rugby, diciamo, nei normal quotidiani activity.
But let's say, so then I'm really curious.
I think
how
in this case maximum, I think, io solo, 12 persons.
12 people.
For me,
cioè, se ti devi immaginare con un gruppo di persone diciamo, con una disabilità mentale, è chiaro che lavorare con 30 persone è impossibile. I can imagine that working with 30 persons with a mental disorders, it would be really difficult, right?
But I think it's very important in this project, the feedback personale.
Sì.
Fondamentale. All is impossible. 30
of course.
feedback is
I ask you a practical question. Ti faccio una domanda proprio pratica.
Sì.
You have this problem to solve. Devi risolvere questo problema. C'hai 30 persone, ma non le puoi far giocare tutte insieme. They cannot play all together. What do you do?
Sì. It's possible the group conformation, per esempio per età, o chiedo aiuto.
Yes, of course, you could ask for another one or two persons to help you. But another possibility could not be that you split them into different smaller groups. Non puoi fare dei gruppi più piccoli?
Sì, gruppi piccoli e turni diversi.
Okay.
Sì.
So that's another possibility. Che è l'opposto di Alejandro Oltean. It's the opposite situation of Alejandro. Alejandro is putting them together because he doesn't have enough time, no, for them to work individually. In your case, the problem is the opposite. You have too many people to work with all together. So you may want to split them into, smaller groups. Mi sono spiegata?
Sì, però I think come si dice, the big number is impossible un problem. Diciamo, io magari avessi 50 anche in questo caso, scusate, non mi viene, voglio non far perdere tempo. Non penso che possa essere un problema. Magari mi capitasse poter provare a fare questo progetto con tantissimi, lo troverei la soluzione.
Okay, so I'm trying to think about practical situations, no, in which you can find yourself. Alejandro.
In my situation, I cannot split groups. I mean, because they have, if I'm not talking with all of them and put them to make the same thing, if I put into groups and say, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this.
No, you cannot. No, it's impossible.
It's impossible, no, because they will just start to talk to each other and making funnies, and they will not work if I split them.
Of course. And I think that Matteo, I can't remember the name. Yes, Matteo, you probably have an even more different problem with autistic children, because not only they cannot be too many, but you have to have a very, very small group to be able to really deal with them, right? Am I correct?
Yes, depend the type of disability we have to work. For example, we have two projects with two different teams. In one we are 14. In the other one we are 10. In the last one there are two EV disability, and the coach is 1-to-1. And the other 8 we are with two coach, quindi 1-to-4.
1-to-4, e ce la fate?
Yes, is alto funzionamento, non mi ricordo come si dice in inglese.
High functioning. Okay,
yes.
So I think it's been very useful to have this discussion, because what we have seen is that depending on the disability and depending on the type of sport that you want to, implement, you have very, very different possibilities, but also opportunities, of course, because you have to use your ability and your knowledge as a technician, as a sport technician, to create the right situation for that person to function, right? Or at least to work effectively. So this is something that you will have to, Gaia, I see that you're back. So this is something I'm trying to prepare them for the Brussels meeting, no?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is to have them imagine you know, situations in which they may find themselves or they would like to find themselves, because it might be also an ideal situation, an ideal project that they would like to develop, with all the constraints, con tutte le difficoltà che ci possono essere, with all the constraints and that are of course dependent upon the person, the specific person, but also the type of disability, and then the typical characteristics of that sport, because each sport, each activity has its own characteristics. So you have to, it is really difficult. You know, the more we discuss about this today, the more we realize that it is really difficult. Of course, your experience in that field is fundamental, because you will apply your experience with you know, normotypical persons on the work you do with people with disability, with children with disability or whatever. Ok, so I will go on. Stiamo guardando le guidelines perché I realized that it was really important and it was a good way to actually get to ultimately to have them understand how to build their own pilot project. Okay. Guideline number 7. Time should be designated for social interaction during and or after sessions, while instructors should facilitate both peer-to-peer support and a sense of enjoyment. Allora, I think this is again in line with what we were saying before with Alejandro. Alejandro was, Alejandro, aspetta perché sennò ci incasiniamo, Oltean, sorry. He was mentioning something that's really very important, that you have to build, you know, a relationship, and also Sami mentioned another important thing, and that is trust. You have to build a relationship and you have to build trust with the person, because you have to know how to deal with them, how to also in order to motivate. And in order to get them to do anything, you have to build a relationship, some you know, some type of relationship. And this specific guideline, I think it's important because it's telling you that this trust and this relationship should not be limited to the time of the training, but that there should be some time also after or before the training when you sort of foster this relationship. Do you agree? Matteo, for example.
I'm lost. I don't
allora, ripeto. To build a relationship, we said that building a relationship and trust, avere una relazione, costruire una relazione di empatia is very important. But this relationship should not be limited to the time, to the training. It should be something that also expands to before and after. Is this true for you, Matteo?
It's true. We try to generalize what we do in the field or in the field. For example, some cognitive skills that we train in the field, we could generalize, for example, in everyday life at school and in every part of life of our patients our teams.
Of course, this is really very important, but this is even something more than what I was saying, and I think it's really, really important. So I'm sure that Gaia will agree that whatever skill they acquire, this skill is, I mean, the importance of this acquisition is limited if the skill is only, you know, is only applied during that specific time or that specific moment. So we should always aim at have them develop whatever it is, that skill, maybe, you know, pronouncing a word, a certain word, or interacting with another person in a certain way. If that is then translated into real life, I don't know how to say that, I think that is really the final goal, no? So the final goal should be that whatever we're doing, which is of course very good from a physical point of view, should also be then translatable from a more behavioral point of view to real life. So I think Matteo has indicated another very, very important thing that should be part of the training. Okay, Gaia, vado avanti? I go on? Okay.
Yeah, yes, please go on.
Yeah, so far it's been very useful. Number 8, the program has a minimum duration of 3 weeks, optimally a duration of 8 weeks or longer. I would like to know whether you agree with this and whether this is true in your case. Who wants to start first? Alejandro Villalon. What do you think? Che cosa pensi? Queste 3 settimane come minimo, come minima durata, ti ci ritrovi?
Sì, sì,
È
sì.
troppo poco? È troppo?
Penso che è corretto, secondo me, non poco. Dipende quante volte giustamente ti vedi con loro, però come dicevamo prima è importante avere dei momenti dove possiamo, come dicevamo prima, avere un momento di relazione oltre all'allenamento.
Certo. So in your experience, how many times per week you should how many times per week? Should be a minimum number of week.
A week. 2 days minimum.
Twice a week, okay.
Yes.
And we managed to say that optimally the duration should be 8 weeks or longer, which is about 2 months. 2 months, or if it's only once a week, it could be even a little longer. But anyway, I am very interested in this, and I'm saying this to Gaia, because there is really no one is written. No, this is written nowhere. That how long should, for example, an intervention program last? Mm-hmm. And this is very interesting also for those who study for psychiatrists, psychologists, for other type of interventions that don't imply physical activity. But if you talk to most people that do, and this is why I'm asking Gaia what she thinks about this. Most intervention programs, also in behavioral therapy, and they should last at least 2 months or 8 weeks. And this is I think it's really interesting that in different fields we come up always with this. I mean, it could be, why not 8 months? Why 2 months? Why not 8 months? And so this is a question for Gaia this time. Because it puzzles me, why we don't know more about the time it takes for the rehabilitation program, both in terms of behavioral therapy, physical therapy, and so on. Can you tell us more, Gaia, about this?
Yeah. Thank you, Francesca, for this question. That, of course, it's a very difficult one. The problem is that I would say the duration of an intervention really depends on the complexity of that intervention. Because, for example, if you organize a social skill training with a group of people, for example, people with psychosis, of course, you will have to follow a specific number of sessions that are scheduled at least once per week. And so at the end, you will need at least 3-4 months for completing all the sessions. And I would say also that the real problem is not just the global duration of the intervention itself, but the main question, at least for me, is okay, the intervention lasts for 2 months, 3 months, but is it really enough 2-3 months for obtaining a significant change in any aspect, psychological one or behavioral one? The problem is that sometimes we aim to modify some behaviors that are really time-consuming in being modified. So probably this is another aspect, that allocating more time to this intervention probably is associated to the fact that it will be likely to have a change, at least a small change, but to see something different. So, of course, for the sport-based activity, probably I would say that we would need a longer time, because, of course, I guess that considering that our patients are very sedentary, it will not be easy for them to change this aspect. So if I spend all my day just sitting on the sofa, it is not so likely that starting from Monday, I will be doing running 3 times per week, but probably in 6 months and so on. I don't know if
No. This is no. Mine was more a philosophical question, but it's really difficult to. This is something we will have to chat, you know, in another yes, another time. But going back to the practical aspects, what you said, I think it's really important that when we are compared to a normotypical, how shall we call it, person, people with mental disorders, with mental disabilities, they are sedentary. So they, most of the times, they do less physical activity than your regular couch potato person. So from this point of view, if you have to devise, imagine to build a program with people with mental disabilities, it will take you a lot of time to actually get them to move at the beginning, get them into shape so that they can eventually also, run. Because if Alejandro wants, these people to play, for example, rugby, think about someone that's been sitting and smoking for the last 10 years of his life. It's not really immediate that you can get those persons to run 500 meters back and forth, and they will get a heart attack. So Alejandro, can you comment on this? Hai dei commenti da fare su questo, sul fatto che le persone che hanno un problema di salute mentale sono anche molto sedentarie e molto poco abituate proprio a fare sport?
Io penso che, e ho voluto fare questo progetto perché penso che il rugby e lo sport in generale sia un mezzo, e diciamo che condividiamo la federazione, e non un fine, quindi diciamo è così, è un mezzo per socializzare, per integrare e per, diciamo, anche migliorare la forma fisica. Ovviamente io lavoro nel centro di preparazione olimpica con atleti di alto livello e non posso pretendere che in questo, però il principio è lo stesso. Perché mentre con il ragazzo che io se alleno 6 ore al giorno, tutti i giorni, pretendo magari con un test di forza massimo, di esplosività, vedrò i piccoli cambiamenti, anche magari con il ragazzo che inizialmente non riesce nemmeno a tenere il pallone in mano e dopo 3 volte sì, e sembra un miglioramento ci sta.
Ho capito. So what Alejandro is saying basically is that, yes, the physical aspect is really important. But one important thing that one could do is to adapt, basically. Adapt whatever program is already there for the typical person to a person that's, you know, not in good shape, basically, not in good physical shape. So this is another problem, another aspect that you will have to deal with when you plan ahead. For example, a typical whatever project you want to develop. So this, you have to think about this, right? That you have to adapt whatever is your training program to someone that may not be in good physical shape. Any other question or comment? I haven't heard from Sami. Sami, what do you think about this? Do you have any comment? Sami?
Yeah, actually no comments.
No comments, okay. Do you agree with what we were saying, that you should adapt your training program to people that may not be in good physical shape?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Gaia, just to know how you want to proceed, because it is about 4 and we have until 4:30, no?
Yes, but I guess, Francesca, considering that this part, I feel it's very, very important for the pilot action, I guess that you could going on and to finish until 4:30. And then
Okay.
in the next session, I will be able to condense the 2 sessions, the topics that were expected to be dealt with today, and the topics of next session. So please go ahead, don't worry.
That's fine. Okay, I will go on. I think it's been so far it's been useful, no, for to really focus on what are the typical and the critical aspects of developing a you know, an intervention program for people with disability, with mental disorders. So another point number 8 is about point number 9 is about how long should the session last. And in the guidelines we wrote that it should be between 30 minutes and up to 2 hours of activity. Who wants to comment? Alejandro wants to comment, I can tell. Vabbè, the minimum duration of 30 minutes.
2 hours secondo me è troppo.
Too much. 2 hours is too much. Okay,
Too
I
much.
agree. Actually, I agree. Okay, but what? Okay, so when we wrote 2 hours, of course, you have to imagine the 2 hours as comprising the fact that these people arrive to the clubhouse. You have some time with them, chatting, getting to, you know how they're feeling that day and how are things. So I think that the 2 hours are comprehensive of not only the physical activity part, but also of the socializing part. Okay, Alejandro?
Sì.
Because that's what you want to do, no? You want to develop, and so keep this in mind for when you will write your program. So the program should include for the session a time for socializing, a time for, you know, getting to know how the person is feeling that day, how are things, having some feedback on maybe the day before, the session before, then eventually get to, you know, warm up and do the actual physical activity. And then after that, you should always have some time, save some time to have, you know, a final feedback, and maybe give them time to socialize and to chat and to get an ice cream or whatever, because that is also part of the training program. Okay, so this is why I think we actually managed to put up to 2 hours of activity. This is what we were saying before. So we wrote that sessions ideally should take place at least 3 times per week. Now, at least is an ideal of course, no, because it's a lot, 3 times a week. We all agree that this is a lot. But then if 3 weeks, if 3 times a week is not possible, we wrote, we should aim for at least 1 or 2 times a week. So the activities should not be spread, too widely, otherwise we don't see any improvement. And of course, you can also think about changing the timing during the whole program. For example, you could start with a greater number of times at the beginning, because you have to get people to, get trained at the beginning to, they have to know what to do. If there are, for example, training tools, they have to learn what they are, how to use them. So you may want to start with come si dice, you may want to start with maybe with a greater repetition, and then go and maybe spread a little bit more. What do you think? Could this be Matteo, could this be feasible to start, for example, with a more frequent, with a greater frequency, and then when things are they've learned what they're going to do and how the session goes, then Matteo, your comments. È frozen, Matteo. Matteo, non ti sento.
Do you hear me?
Okay, yes, I hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yes?
Oh, fine. Allora, so it's quite possible, but I'm a football coach, fundamental, and we are so abitudinari in our project, and our activity is more fixed.
Okay, so what you're saying is that, but this is something that has to do with autism, because you work with autistic children, or it is true for every type of program?
In one team, there are some other mental disorder.
And they're more flexible?
Yes.
Because what you're saying is important. Yeah, I think it's important what you're saying. For example, autistic children, they like a repetition, they like habits, they don't like things that change, So in the case of autism, I quite agree with you that the program should be very, I mean, they should repeat itself.
For example, we start our section with a circle time. When we say hi, we say how we are, and we tell about the week. And at the end of the session, we say goodbye, and we tell about the session. What we like, what we don't like, and many other similar questions.
Okay, yes. So what I was saying before, that the session should be not just the time when you actually do the training, but there should be a time to get together and greet at the end, and then. So I think this is very important. See, when we then think about applying these guidelines in real life, you see how many different things come out. For example, that I would have thought that plasticity, so that you should be as plastic as possible in these programs. But now you're telling me that it really depends on what type of patient, of type of person I have, in front of me. Because for an autistic person, if things change, they don't know how to deal with them. So they like, they probably, for them, it's probably much better to have always the same session that starts in the same way, ends in the same way. That makes them more confident. Probably, I wonder whether with other mental disorders, this might not be the case. I'm thinking about, for example, with people with major depression. They don't need this, this feeling of, you know, things being always the same, although it might be refreshing to, you know, I think this is true for everybody, to have some sort of routine. I know that routines are, I mean, we are routinary people, all of us, so we like routines. But I think it is also important that that we can always work in a way that in order to adapt whatever we're doing, whatever the training program is, to the, you know, to the specific problems, to the specific situations that we are, you know, that we are faced with. What do you think, Alexandru Olteanu?
Yeah, the same with me. I mean, all the meeting, it's about 1 hour and a half. But the first 10 or 15 minutes, we gather together, we greet each other. We work outside now, so we have to go to the locker room and bring our materials. I don't know, the balls and the circles and the whatever, the cones, and everybody must carry something. I mean, okay, you take this, you take this, you take this, take it to the court. I don't know, have some 1 or 2 jokes maybe, and after this we start. And at the end of the end of the practice is the same thing. I mean, you take this, let's take it over there. How do you feel? How do you like it? And some.
So you have a routine.
Yes, pretty much. Yes. But the start and the end of the practice is the same. But in the practice itself, I try to do it. I don't know. Today make some, I don't know, speed drills or exercises. And other day, let's make some, I don't know, jumping exercises. Or so I don't know how to say. So basically, we try to change something on the training. Put some extra things or eliminate others. We try to, I don't know, we tried to play tennis a few weeks ago, and they were not interested, and they were like, just, I don't know, just throwing the balls and do whatever. So we gave up tennis away, and I don't know.
So what you're saying is that you, in the routine training, you try to insert something new to see whether that might interest them and whether that might be a good addition. But then if it doesn't work, then you go back to.
Yes, and in the last training session, we, for the first time, we induct some strength exercises like planking and squats, and for my surprise, everybody liked it. It was yeah. I mean, it was a bit of harder training, but everybody was enjoying it. I'm not sure why, but I will try to do it more often.
Okay. Why do you think they liked it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because it was something new.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe this. I mean, it was fun for them to, okay, now let's stand on both hands. Now let's extend one hand up. Let's do the other hand up. And maybe it was, I don't know, more interactive, and they were not feeling like they were doing strength exercises. They were feeling like they were doing something fun, something else.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Sami, do you have comments?
I think a little bit about. I think about big picture when we speak on that warm up and what we do middle and what we do end. Like it's little bit same, like rhythm, but all the things inside the warm up, inside the how we end is sometimes different. But the meeting is the first thing and speaking and some like discussion, and then is training time, and then is the ending, and that rhythm is same, but all things change inside those three things. And for me, I think, yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
the
there's
best answer.
it's a similar way of organizing the session. That's what you're saying. But then the training part can be different, can change.
Yeah, like every time it starts with involving participants in that moment, that time, they're getting to know each other, but every way different style. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Now there are two things that are, and this is really more having to do specifically with the fact that, you know, we deal with people with mental disabilities. And one is that activities take place optimally before midday. Now, I understand that this is not necessarily always possible, but this, while we were discussing about when is the ideal time to have this, to have physical activity for people with mental disorders, there was a discussion about this, and ultimately with the psychiatrist, it was, you know, it was clear that these people are more awake and more alert and more able also to, you know, be motivated and to work in the morning rather than in the afternoon. And I will ask maybe Gaia whether this is true, whether she agrees. And this is also the number 12 also goes with this. That is that sessions should ideally finish at least 2 hours before they go to sleep. And this in order to, you know, reduce the adrenaline so that they don't, because these people may have difficulties going to sleep and, you know, sleeping. So at least in my experience, when you do sport in the evening, your adrenaline stays up for some time. And so it might disrupt your sleep. And so I'm actually asking Gaia to comment on this because this is really her topic more than mine.
Yes, no, thank you, Francesca. You explained it very well, and I completely agree with you, and also with these guidelines that it is better to do it in the early part of the day because, of course, of all the activation of the axis, cortisol, and adrenaline, and so on and so forth. And so it is also useful in order to give a sort of a daily routine to our patients, and also explaining them, okay, you will do sport activity in the morning, and so in order to start sport activities, you need to wake up always at the same hours. And so also these aspects are very, very important, because sometimes, in particular, when we work with the young people affected from, I don't know, bipolar disorders, they experience some period of their illness during which they have this complete disruption of daily activities. And so having a leisure activity like sports as a sort of rule for organizing your day, I guess it's another very important aspect, because you can motivate them to have this daily routine because you have to do something that is that you probably like to do, like sport. It is something that also helps you to produce endorphin and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And also, I will add also, and this is my field. Of course, what Gaia was saying, and that is to give them this, let's say, habit of, you know, waking up at a certain time, but also, and this I should say should apply especially to sports that are done outdoor compared to indoor. Of course, the exposure to light, especially when for people that suffer from, for example, depression, that is also a very, very important mechanism that, you know, can improve the symptomatology, depressive symptomatology, exposure to light by itself, because these people, what they have is a change in the circadian rhythm of certain neurotransmitters, and being in the light and also the physical activity itself can really retrain their circadian rhythm. So it is very important also from this point of view that for example, that the physical activity is done in the morning, in the daylight. I understand that this may not be as easy, for example, if you live, it's easy if you live in Italy. It's less easy if you live in Finland, right? When maybe, especially in winter time, you don't have the opportunity to maybe be outside because it's snowing and it's terribly cold or whatever. But ideally...
That's not Finland. You don't speak about Finland right now.
No, not now. I'm thinking about the wind. Here. Is it sunny, eh?
Yeah, always.
Things are changing. This crazy climate is changing things. But in any case, think about this. Think about the fact that in addition to the physical activity, the fact that you know, sports can be practiced outside in the daylight, this is also something that can be very important for the patient, for these patients, especially for those who have problems with their circadian activity, and also, of course, with sleeping, because it is all related, right? Because if you know, if your daily rhythm gets back to normal, then you can sleep better. If you sleep better, then you are more alert. You can do things, you know, in a better way. So it is all very much related. So the physiology, it's also a very important part, you know, to be able to tackle the certain aspects of human physiology is also very important. In addition to what we already said about, you know, the social aspect and, you know, the physical activity in terms of, you know, being more healthy. Of course, being healthy is important. These people, especially if we're talking about both schizophrenics or people with depression, they are all taking medicines that can, you know, make them weigh more. So they become, you know, sometimes they become really fat. They're overweight, which is already not good. So there are a lot of things that come together when we start a physical activity program, and that are all in a way feeding back positively on the person. Okay, I'm going to go towards the end, and let's see what are okay. We already said. I already said about the program should ideally seek to incorporate activities in the open air and natural environments. So this is something that we may talk about in another. But also being, of course, in nature, being immersed in nature is another very important aspect of healing, of feeling better, feeling good. Now, one important aspect, and we have tackled this at the beginning before, and that how intense should the physical activity be? When we talked about the rugby with Alejandro, no? Alejandro said, well, I don't expect these people to do the same training that I do to a normal or a normotypical, whatever we want to call a person. But again, and this is also very, and I think it's a very important thing to discuss. How intense should the training be? Okay.
Oh, okay. But
I'd like to know your opinion, Alejandro.
No, one question is because we speak of intensity and not volume and density the session. Se capisce.
Dillo in italiano.
Allora, se parla di intensità, Va bene, e perché non considerare il volume e la densità della seduta, che in realtà,
ok.
che in realtà è quello che dà l'intensità, perché siccome la intensità è, scusate, è complicatissimo per me parlarlo, provare a dire una cosa in inglese o dire in italiano, la intensità, esiste anche la intensità percepita, e quindi per esempio io e te possiamo andare, sta facendo un'attività che io la percepisco come super intensa e magari chi la sta facendo la stessa a fianco no. Invece,
Yes. I
invece
translate, Alejandro. Let's translate. So Alejandro is saying two things. One is, in addition to intensity, and this intensity can be very different from one person to another. So I, for example, can feel that same exercise as very intense, and it may be very light for another person, just because the training that we have is very different. But there is
volevo dire che per evitare, per esempio, che possono essere infortuni o troppa eccitazione in chi sta facendo un'attività, secondo me è importante considerare il volume, quindi quanto dura un esercizio.
Il volume dell'esercizio, the volume. What Alejandro is talking about is the volume of the exercise. This is something for me which is Arabic. I didn't even know it existed a volume.
E la densità che sarebbe quante volte in quel tempo un ragazzo ripete una cosa.
Ok. Alejandro Oltean, is this something that you understand? And density and repetition, is this?
Yes, of course. I mean, you start with, in a normal, let's say, year of practice, you start with volume, and then you decrease the volume and increase the intensity of the exercises. I understand what he's talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's we never got into this detail, but I think this is very important.
In every physical exercise, you start with the volume to accumulate volume of the exercises, and then when you decrease the volume and you increase the intensity, so you're not going to do a lot of repetitions, but less repetitions with more intensity, so you can, yeah.
Can I ask you to please build also this dimension in your programs when you will write down your ideal project? Can you please also take this into account? Ok, Alejandro, quando tu dovrai scrivere il tuo progettino, cioè come vorrai idealmente fare il tuo progetto pilota, per favore ti chiedo di inserire anche queste considerazioni che hai fatto adesso, cioè che bisognerà anche calibrare il volume e l'intensità dell'esercizio.
Posso approfittare per fare una domanda?
Sì, certo.
Perché io mentre pensavo al progetto immaginavo per esempio questo. Se io ipotizzo che per esempio un ragazzo deve correre, fare un percorso con il pallone o camminando, come non riesce a farlo, no? Se io lo inserisco questo esercizio in uno spazio temporale, è possibile che io prevedo che ne so 15 minuti, lui in 15 minuti lo fa 10 volte e ne ha fatte 4 km correndo. Invece il volume e la densità mi aiuta a dire, per esempio, io vorrei che ogni ragazzo lo faccia 4 volte. Poi se a uno lo devo pure accompagnare io camminando, quello conta una volta, sarà la sua intensità percepita. E io sapendo che lui facendolo 4 volte ha corso 30 metri, quindi non è una cosa intensa per lui che non va a incidere sulla sua parte metabolica. Questo mi garantirebbe a me come operatore o chi ci sta intanto di ridurre il rischio di infortuni o che possa avere un stimolo troppo alto a livello metabolico.
Ok, allora tu questo lo scrivi, anche se non riesci a scriverlo in inglese va bene se lo scrivi in italiano, va bene, in modo che lo consideriamo. So each one of you will put down, the best type of, training that you think you could, that could be applied to the. Of course, you will have also to imagine the typical, for most of you will be the persons you are used to deal with every day, but you could also imagine something else if you want. And I hope that you will use, of course, all your experience in the field to arrange your program. What Alejandro was saying is that he also is very much aware of the fact that you have to avoid any injury, no? For example, so the volume and if I understand correctly, the volume and the intensity can be modulated in order to avoid, to reduce the impact of the exercise and to reduce also the likelihood that the person can injure himself. Okay. And of course, we don't want them to be injured. So I think this is also a very important consideration. Okay. Okay. I think that the last few guidelines are quite straightforward. That attendance should be voluntary. Of course, we don't want to oblige anybody to do exercise. And the attendance should be flexible to accommodate participants' individual circumstances. But this is, you know, this is something again that it's quite straightforward. I don't think we need to discuss this. It is very important that before a person is engaged in the program, he is made aware of what this program involves, so that there should be an interview, there should be something that we prepare for this person to show them, to indicate what they will be doing, how they will be doing it. And so to give him or her some feedback before they even start the training program, so that they know what they're going to, you know, what the program is going to entail. Okay, so that they are very well aware of what they will do, not just that they are, you know.
Francesca.
Sì.
Sorry for interrupting you. Unfortunately, I have another meeting starting now, but I guess that you can go on until you finish. I will not change anything in the Zoom setting.
Okay, I will close.
When you are finished, you can
say,
just close
but
the...
I'm finished because it's 4:30, so I will only show them the...
Okay. Thank you very much for your
you're welcome
today.
Thank you, Gaia.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Okay, no, but I'm finished. What I wanted to do is to show you. Now I will stop sharing this. And what I wanted to do, and this is the last thing, I promise, 1 minute. I wanted to show you there is a scheme that you will, if you want, I can ask Stefano to send this to you.
Yes, you can.
You will send this to them, no? So
Yes.
that they get ready to prepare, because you will have to prepare this in Brussels. No, sto andando via, no, invece voglio fare share. Sto facendo un casino, aspettatemi. Andate. Okay, this is so this is a very, very simple exercise that you will prepare, where you have to imagine the pilot action you want to develop. So you will put your name, surname, country. You will have to imagine what the target is, the type of sport, whether it's a group sport, an individual sport, what will be the aim of this intervention program, the specific aims, the equipe, the methods. Remember what we just said about, you know, having a very good idea of how to build the project and how to build the training program according to the person's needs and not to, you know, for these people not to get injured. What will you use to monitor and evaluate the performance of these people, the expected results, and so on. Okay, so it's a very simple page. And you, your exercise is to think about this before Brussels and get to Brussels with this filled in. If you have any problem, any doubt, you can contact me or Gaia, and we will give you feedback on this. Okay, it doesn't have to be too elaborate.
Okay.
But it's an exercise for you to concentrate on how to build a pilot project. Okay. Any question? Ideas? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope this has been useful for you. And I will now stop the session. If you have some afterthought questions or things that you didn't understand or that you would like to know better, you can write to me or write to me through Stefano. I will, Marta Borgi just appeared. Marta Borgi.
I was here without camera. We will meet in Brussels.
You will meet
Brussels.
Marta in Brussels. I will not be in Brussels. And she will be the person that will receive your feedback on the pilot project you will build. Okay. Good. Okay. I hope this has been useful for everybody. And
I'm gonna just one thing. I'm gonna share with all of you by email both the guidelines again, the link where you can download the guidelines in your languages, and and the document that Francesca just shared with you. So you'll have an idea, and if you have comments, if you have doubts, everything, you can reach me or Gaia or Francesca and Marta and ask questions, ask clarifications if you need them. Thanks, everybody.
Francesca, do you think it's better if they send us before Brussels?
Ideally, yes.
The project maybe is better.
Yes.
So we can read before to get
so
that.
that you can get bring some feedback already.
Yeah, because I don't think we will have enough time.
That's true.
We
so
can
maybe
we can share them soon after this session, so all of you can think about this. You can also draft a first document and share it with Gaia the next week, and then refine.
That's a very good idea. Yes.
Yes, and refine, and by the 5th of July or 6th of July before Brussels, before the meeting in Brussels, you can send them to Marta and to all of us, and so that they can be evaluated, and Marta, Gaia can support you in Brussels.
Good. So have a draft, a very, very rough draft ready for next Wednesday. No, I don't remember. Thursday. And then Gaia will give you feedback. So this might be actually very important because you can then refine it before Brussels. Okay, thank you, Marta. Very good idea. Okay, so have a good evening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Francesca.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Stefano, ciao.